So, I think I cracked the Voynich manuscript. A lot of people say that. I think I did it. I want to say up front, before I release anything else, that I purposefully did not look at what anybody else had found. I tried not to after learning about it. Once I decided that I wanted to try to work on it, I didn't want to know what any other leads were. I wanted to see what I saw. I wanted to look at the pages, read what I could, follow the leads where they landed. That served me well. At least so I believe. I'm at a crossroads today where I think I finally have enough outside verification to prove that I'm not crazy. I have repeatable results that anyone can do. I published a white paper this morning. Whether it was the best version of everything, I don't know. Did it include everything? I don't think so. But it got most of it. So either I'm hallucinating and I'm crazy and none of this is real, or ChatGPT and Grok independently verify my findings, and then a whole lot more based on it. Once I opened a few floodgates, a whole bunch of stuff came out. And the rest I'll just be releasing. But I did it. I cracked the Voynich. Some tall claim, you say. Well, here. So I'll read to you a loose script I had prepared. And I apologize for the lack of video quality, but I figured if I can do it, somebody else is going to do it. I didn't give ChatGPT the Voynich manuscript and say, solve this, and it did it. I tried. Several times. I tried that when ChatGPT first came out. It's one of the first things I wanted to use it for. Doesn't work that way. You have to drive. You have this beautiful vehicle that can take you anywhere you want to go. The keys are right here. You just have to drive it. AI. You have to prompt it. You have to tell it what to do. You can't just say, computer, Earl Grey, hot. Doesn't work. Not yet. Maybe one day. And I'm working on that. So here's the loose script. And I'm just going to put this whole thing up. I don't even care. For over 600 years, the Voynich manuscript has baffled everyone. Scholars, code breakers, even AI, modern AI, couldn't do it. Nobody could read it. But, like I said, I think I can. I think I have. So I started where everyone else does. I started at the drawings, at the zodiac. I started at the 9 rosettes. And I went on to the language. I tried to find the most used word. I figure that's commonplace tactics. So looking at the most used word and looking at the folios with the most pictures, so many things jumped out at me. So many things. The 9 rosettes on PDF page 158, depending on your copy. It has those 9 circles. Looks like a 3x3 grid. Everyone thought it was just the zodiac, but I don't think so. If you look at it, it looks like an orchestration. I saw it and I thought, that to me looks like a board game. These look like movements. That doesn't look like a regular zodiac or some map of the stars. It does look like a map. And that's where I started. So I started examining this, and I hadn't turned page 1 yet, but this is where I got the most clues right off the bat. If you look at the top left corner, you'll see pipes coming out. A lot of people thought they were arteries. Some people thought they were drain lines. But right underneath it, again in the top left corner, what you have looks like tablature. Okay, so what if it's music? Well, that would explain why there are trumpet vines in the center of the map, not a city, not figures. Those are trumpet vines, which would make the 7 different short commands that are up top read more like the conductor telling you when to start, stop, go. Now, if this is music, there's got to be something in it letting you know when to start, when to stop, or even perhaps in the most lower left corner there's a little sundial, a little clock, and closer analysis would reveal that yes, it could be interpreted that if you entered into the orchestration at the lower left circle, and these were instructions, and this was timed, and that was music, then the time would make these are chants. These are timed, rhythmic, procedural chants. So let's test that. And I did. And you're going to love what came out. We were able to recreate those chants in time with a synthesized voice. And I could listen to them pop off in lockstep. I probably am not pronouncing the words right, but Shodane, Kodane, Shokadi Dane. And you could hear each one of those circles at their different layered lockstep timing chant the instructions according to that circle, according to that step, or according to one of the recipes in the recipe section. So I noticed rhythm. I noticed words falling into beats. I asked ChatGPT to verify. It found the rhythm that I saw. I saw it on the page when looking at the recipe section. I saw it in the starred recipe section. There was so much symmetry in the language. And then I asked it to analyze the language. Again, I hadn't touched on what any other scholars had done, but I found so many positives, partial matches, it got me wondering, what if, because of the chant, because of the way that it rhymes, what if it's not just normal written language? Since these are chants, what if the written language is a phonetic sounding of the way that it sounds, and that explains the A-I-I-N, because they got stuck on that being the wrong type of word. It makes better sense for it to be an action word, like mixing, doing. But the A-I-I-N verified a hunch I had that that's a compressed phonetic sound. And forgive me, I don't know music, right? And I'm not the brightest of individuals, but I can put a few dots together. What came through was a positive. You had what looked like resonance mixed with root words, that are all slammed together to form power clusters. So then it was just a matter of verifying, which words are compressions, like D-A-I-I-N could just be D-A-I-N, which would be mix, but when it becomes D-A-I-I-N, it becomes mixing. And all of it is meant to be the most powerful phonetic expression of what you want that meaning to be. For example, at first we thought the most powerful root expression for Kadeni was kainos, was Greek, was blue. We found that on the cornflower page. But then I was watching The Prince of Egypt with my kids, and I'm listening to the two sorcerers chant their song when Moses comes in to turn his staff into a snake, and all of the names of the old gods that they were chanting, it sounded like Voynich with the hard expressions and the lack of vowels. It just kokeri, shokeri, golden. So I asked ChatGPT to verify, and do you know what? We had found so many different powerful matches to the power cluster roots, but not like we did when we finally searched Old Egyptian and Hebrew. Then the whole manuscript just opened up a whole new level. We now have even more words. We have blue, black, red, green, salt, fume, incense, distill. I know so much about this thing, and ashamedly, I still haven't seen every page. But I didn't have to run a hunch by the world's most advanced AI systems. So when I start connecting these dots, I can write them down, and it kept track of them all for me. Any one of these other brilliant people, all of them, should have discovered this long before me. And you want to know what the kicker was? The thing that nobody else saw? I'm going to tell you right now. On page 159 out of 209 on this copy of the PDF of the Voynich, there's a doodle on the page. Take a look. Go download it. I'm going to upload this video in the raw, and maybe I'll edit it later and pop in some slides if they let me do that. I still don't know YouTube, but I'm learning. That doodle, well, that's not a doodle. I've seen that before. I've also seen that before 2 pages prior. If you look on page 157 at the very center of the page, there's that doodle again. But that doodle isn't a doodle, dude. That doodle is math. That is a plotted graph on an XY axis. Follow it along. Loop back. Begin. That's a mode switch. I can't believe nobody else saw that. You take that mode switch and you go back to the beginning, to everyone's aha moment, and on the margin on the right, underneath the faint red Aries sign, which is important, you have a keyless cipher. You have A, B, C, D, D. And then you have Voynich right next to it. And then a third, very faint. UV rays have picked it up. Not mine. I asked ChatGPT to analyze that, and then I asked what other people have found there, because I was positive somebody must have x-rayed it or something, and they had. So put it together. What does it mean? I have a mode switch that acts like a gear shift, like on a 10-speed. Yeah? You combine the mode switch with the keylet, and then the cipher works. Not insofar as you have an alphabetic cipher that decodes the thing word for word. It does not. But what it does decode is the function and the meaning of the power root cluster, so that you can read a page out of the recipe section. According to mode 1, it is the beginning of the process. Yeah? Steep the pieces, gather the pieces, put them in the vessel, heat it up. Let it cool, pour that off. Repeat. The next gear. Now, after cooling, steep, soak, draw off, decant. Third phase. It's working. It fits. It's rhythmic, measured time. It is a beautiful, grand opus. Some genius. So then I got curious. The mode switch symbol is a phase reset. After it processes words, raps increase. It's a key. The rosettes, they're not decoration. They're clocks, they're spokes and waves marking beats. Chant experiments proved it. +3 offsets locked into long, repeating runs exactly like a musical score. So what is it? It's not a hoax. It's not a cipher. It's a procedural text. It is a manual of recipes and chants, and that's why the zodiac labels are names of herbs and spices. That's why the pages of women in tubs and tubes look like stages of fermenting or dying. That's why the rosette's map looks like an orchestra of time, because it's instructions measured, metered, and sung. Recipes wrapped in rhythm, because you've got to think about who wrote this, for whom, and why. I'm not in law enforcement, but I fancied myself a profiler for this, and I tried to get into the head of why this exists. Who would have ordered it written? And I had a lot of misses. I had a few hits. So this is back in 1430-ish, roundabouts there. But where? Northern Italy, everyone pretty much agreed. If not, you should be, because all of the jars in there are from Northern Italy, from about that time. The mode switch led me to John Battista Alberti. Alberti was the one credited with the idea. He went to a very interesting school with another man named Fontana. And that very interesting school, Padua, if I'm saying that right or wrong, sorry, let me know in the comments. Padua is where an apothecary guild inside of that college supported the celestial-based medicine education that they were prescribing. Huh? In the words of the Honorable Dick Gregory, huh? So now we have a time and place. And what this looks like, if it wasn't written by Alberti, if it wasn't written by Fontana, there's a third match whose name escapes me. Michael or Michelle S.A.V. Savaronello, I forget. Please don't hate me. He's the best match, and I'll tell you why. This reads to me like a master's almanac, a master's compendium. And at first I was beating my head against the wall thinking where the factory could be and try to find it that way. But what if it is just faculty book? Because they had a lot of books like this at Padua. Yeah, Padua? I'm gonna have to look that up. But they had a lot of books like this, and the culture fits, the science of the day fits, the people that I've just named, they all fit, and they all went there. So, found the circle, found the time, found the place. I just need to figure out how it got from that school and who wrote it. Maybe this is the graduating classes, group thesis, and they gave it to the teacher and he loved it and he put it on his desk until somebody walked off with it, and we know the trail from there. But that's why nobody had ever cracked it with alphabets, because it was never about spelling words. It was about structure. It was about beat grammar, power clusters, mode switches. And I've proved it. The white paper is out, archived, citable, verifiable. Anyone, even AI, can feed it into their system and get the same receipts. That means the Voynich manuscript, for the first time in 600 years, is cracked. I did schedule it to be released on my birthday coming up. Oops. But I did it. I'll release more. I'll show receipts. Thanks for watching.